whole half a chapter of prayers. This one by name. His anger was not to subside. Chapter 9 begins, which is what we're reading from. They requested the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, to go forward. She was afraid. She didn't. She had never seen this feature of her Lord and Master. Very terribly powerful. Then Brahma requested, Prahlad, you go forward, because he appeared to protect you. It is because of the harassment of your father that he's come, so you go. On the order of Brahma, he went. Said many humble things about he's not qualified, etc., etc. But then expressed, fortunately, you're very merciful, and those who are depending upon you, you show your kindness. By this time, Lord Nrsimhadev was peaceful. He placed his hand or paw on Prahlad's head. Prahlad felt ecstasy, spiritual ecstasy. All of his misgivings and any material affinity was gone. And he offered beautiful, beautiful, beautiful prayers. And in the course of his offering beautiful prayers, he's not talking like, he doesn't sound like a 5-year-old. Just yesterday evening, he was describing how, before that, how the Lord Vishnu manifests the whole cosmic manifestation. And then yesterday, how he appears as avatars of Vishnu in this world and by different names, and I agree with this one, that one. And he says, because you're merciful, even persons like me who are fallen, born in a demoniac family, have so many material desires, still, I'm sure you'll be kind to deliver not only me, but his appeal, we heard this yesterday, was please deliver all the fallen souls in this world. For you, it's nothing. Please deliver all the fallen souls in this world. For you, it's nothing. So that's where we're going to begin this evening. Text 40, 7-9-40. My dear Lord, O infallible one, my position is like that of a person who has many wives, all trying to attract him in their own way. For example, the tongue, it's one of his wives, is attracted to palatable dishes, the genitals to sex with an attractive woman, the sense of touch to contact with soft things, the belly, although filled, still wants to eat more, and the ear, not attempting to hear about you, is generally attracted to cinema songs. And that's Prabhupada's creation, because there weren't cinema songs during this Satya Yuga. But anyway, music. The sense of smell is attracted to yet another side. The restless eyes are attracted to the scenes of sense gratification, and the active senses are attracted elsewhere. So the 5 knowledge acquiring senses, 5 working senses makes 10. And then our dear friend, number 11. Who's number 11? 5 knowledge acquiring, 5 working senses, and number 11 is the chief of the senses, the mind. Our dear friend. Whoops. In this way, I'm certainly embarrassed. No, I'm not going to read the purport. Prabhupada goes through the same list again, specifically the knowledge acquiring senses, and how the knowledge acquiring senses are attracted to sense objects, not for the purpose of understanding the soul, but for the sake of trying to find enjoyment out there, senses contacting sense objects. And that's embarrasses the soul. That is, it's a lot of work. And real happiness never comes. There's something that keeps people going. That something that keeps people going is it's likened sometimes to scratching an itch. But when you scratch an itch, it's not that the scratching sensation goes away. It gets inflamed. And real happiness doesn't occur. So, yeah, this is, we'll go to, it's very important in the whole picture of Prahlad's prayers and his teachings comes in chapter 10. This is moving towards the end of chapter 9. I mean, this is verse number 40. He's had a lot of prayers. But in chapter 10, at the end of chapter 9, Lord Nrsingadev says, "You please me very much. Wonderful prayers. Your devotion is fantastic. Please ask anything at all that you want, and it's yours." Anything at all that you want, and it's yours. Here's a blank check. It's got my signature at the bottom. Fill in any amount you like, any amount you like, any amount you like. Just you name it, and it's yours. In the beginning of chapter 10, Prahlad says, "Please don't tempt me this way. Because I've born in a demoniac family, it's my nature to have evil desires, unfavorable desires. However, my understanding of my relationship with you is you're the master, I'm the servant, and there's nothing else. It's not business. I do, you do for me. I do, you do for me." Vanik is the word that's used. It's a business mind. Our relationship is not a business relationship. I do, you do for me. It's just one thing. You're the master, I'm the servant, there's nothing else. And then he says, very important in all of this, you sent me here. Now, from where did Vishnu come? Where did Lord Nrsingadev come? From Vaikuntha. You sent me here from Vaikuntha to teach the way of pure devotional service. So from A to Z and everything in between, he's teaching pure devotional service. Sometimes he's speaking from the position of a conditioned soul, which he's not. For our benefit, he's speaking as if he's one of us. He's not. Then he's speaking very high also, pure devotional service, unmixed devotional service. It's only you. Ekanta bhakti is the Sanskrit phrase, or ananya bhakti, undivided devotion. That's what he's teaching. He's teaching the way, what it looks like, what it feels like, and his relationship with Lord Nrsingadev is like that. Sometimes he's speaking as if he's not. And he's appealing for mercy because in a life of devotion, there's two things, always. There's effort and there's mercy. And very nice example of this, very, very classic example of this, is the pastime of Mother Yasoda trying to bind Krishna. Everyone here knows that pastime. Krishna broke the butter pot because the milk was boiling over on the stove. And when the milk was boiling over in the stove, she was feeding Krishna, but had to save the milk because the milk was also for Krishna, so he went to save the milk. But Krishna wanted her to feed him. So he became angry, transcendental pastime, transcendental anger. So he broke the butter pot. And then he went to the storeroom where there's more butter and was eating the butter and feeding the monkeys, etc. When Mother Yasoda saw him doing that, she had a little stick. You know the pastime. It's the Damodar Leela. And so she went chasing him and he was running. Finally, she caught him from behind. He was crying and crying and crying. So she threw the stick away. "But I have to punish you." She explained why. And because if I let you steal now and don't say anything, what's going to happen when you grow up? So I have to curb this tendency to steal. So she tried to bind him to the grinding mortar. You know the story. It's that every every month of Damodar we narrate the pastime and sing the song and offer a lamp to Damodar. So she tried tying him and tried tying him, and more rope and more rope and more rope, and it was still always too short to go around his waist. And the reason was he wanted to go back and get more butter. He didn't want to be tied up. And when the Lord wants something, no one can stop him. And when the Lord stops someone, no one can do something. So she wasn't able to bind him. But then he saw the perspiration on her forehead, and the flowers were falling from her hair, and her whole body was shaking. So he didn't want to see his mother like that, so he allowed her to tie him up. So that's the mercy part, because without mercy you can't do anything. But there's the effort part. That's both are essential in devotional service. They're essential in life. Without mercy, we can't do anything. And without effort, it doesn't happen, just fall from the sky. So we make effort, but we're dependent upon mercy, and that's a life of devotion. We make effort, we're dependent upon mercy. So Prahlad is asking Lord Nrsingadev to deliver him and to deliver others. But he also wants to be able to control his senses. So there's some effort, but it's also mercy is required. And what's the real manifestation of mercy isn't just like you can do austerities and it's okay and you can survive something. You make a vow and keep the vow, and you can keep the vow, that's good. But there's a higher purpose of all those things that we may endeavor for, and that's receiving mercy, that mercy in the form of awakening our forgotten relationship with Krishna. A few months back, I was at Potomac Temple, in Washington, D.C. area, Potomac, Maryland. Nice temple. And there was a guest speaker with one other person, a very celebrated speaker. And to introduce us, the temple president, Ananda Vrindavan, told a little Prabhupada story. It was nice. She said it Saturday morning and Sunday morning, same story. It's a nice story. One time Prabhupada was visiting in England, and there was a newspaper reporter or some kind of reporter that came to interview him. Swamiji, you've come far away from India to come to our country. You must be carrying some message. What is that message you would like to deliver to the people of our country? Hands him the microphone. Simple, Prabhupada said. I've come to remind you of that which you have forgotten. I've come to remind. So this is what Prahlad is doing with his classmates. It's what he's doing with his father. It's what he's doing with his teachers. And he's speaking in this case to the Lord Nrsingadev, but it's for our benefit also, because we've forgotten. So that the purpose is to remember what we've forgotten. And what's that which we have forgotten? The absolute reality that we've forgotten is we're eternally parts of the Supreme, and we've forgotten. And so we're doing so many other things in place of what we've forgotten. Like somebody that has amnesia. They get bonked in the head, they forget who they are, and they develop another identity. And even people know that person, who that other person is, but they've forgotten because they have amnesia, and they're acting as if they're not who they are. Pretty amazing. And that's a lot of people. At least persons in this world are pretty much in that category. We've forgotten who we are, and we've forgotten who our Father is. We're acting as if somebody else is our father or mother or whatever, the temporary things of this world. Some of you know there's a nice story in the Srimad Bhagavatam. If you have a phone and can you put it on off or with silent mode or whatever you call it? I'm going to narrate a story along with the Prahlad story. In the 6th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, this is 7th canto, 6th canto, there's a very nice story of a king who didn't have children. He had a queen, but there was no child. So he married a second queen. No child. He married a third queen. He married a fourth queen. The number of queens he married was really big number. I forget the number. Really big number. Like he had more queens than Krishna had. It's a big number. And no children. So he was in a lot of distress. Then there's effort and then there's mercy, right? So great distress. Angira Muni came to visit his palace one time, and the king was very virtuous, so he received Angira Muni properly. And Angira Muni started asking him, how's everything in your kingdom? How are the citizens peaceful? Is your military strength very nice? Is the agricultural production adequate? You don't look so good. What's wrong? What's disturbing you? And he said, it's one thing. I don't have a son. Can you do something so I can have a son? And Angira could understand, this man has so many queens and there's no son. Doesn't he just accept it's not meant to happen? But this man has beans in his ears. He can't hear a message like that. So he said, sure, we can do a yajna whereby you can have a son. But the son is going to be a source of misery as well as a source of happiness. In fact, we'll give him a name even before he's conceived. So his name will be Harsha Shoka, happiness, distress. Oh, that's okay. Better have a son that may be a little disobedient sometimes than no son at all. So a yajna was performed. There was some procedure where some amrita was produced from the yajna. It was given to his wife, the first of his wives. The problem was there were so many other wives. Now my memory is starting to kick in. Yeah, it was 100,000 wives, something like so. 999,999 wives didn't have a son, and all the attention of the king and the whole kingdom went to the king's son, Harsha. So some of those many wives became envious. They decided to poison the child. So in the middle of the night, they snuck in at his crib and they poisoned him. So in the morning, when the wife, the queen, I think her name is Krita Duty, she came to see her son and saw he was dead. She screamed. When she screamed, she woke up the king. When the king woke up, half asleep, he came running, falling over to the side where the child was, and saw the child was dead. Oh, Shoka, Mahashoka. So much lamentation. Just at the right moment, Narada Muni came. Narada Muni came along with Angira Muni. So Angira Muni, before he didn't speak transcendental knowledge, now Angira Muni speaks transcendental knowledge. But the real identity is the soul, etc. And the king was like in a daze. Who are you speaking this knowledge? You see, you've forgotten. I'm the same. I'm Giramuni. I'm the one that gave the performed the yajna so that you could have a son. Then Narada Muni spoke transcendental knowledge, and then Narada Muni spoke bhakti to the king. It's a long section. And then Narada said to the king, if you'd like, I can bring your son back to life. Yes, yes, bring my son back to life. So the boy sat up. He was dead. The boy sat up, just looked at Narada, because Narada had said, just look around you. Here's your mother and your father, and they're in such distress. Please be kind upon them and give them happiness. The boy sat up and said, who's my father and who's my mother? I've had so many fathers and so many mothers, and this many species and this many families, and so on and so on. So you just took me away from my eternal father. And I'm going to go back to my eternal father. See you later, Narada. And he laid back down and he was gone again. Pretty amazing. So the idea, I'm reason for narrating this, it fits in with the same narration that Prahlada is giving. And that same narration that Prahlada is giving is there are things that are temporary in this world, and those things that are temporary in this world, they draw our attention as if they're going to give us happiness. But in the big picture of things, whatever that sensation is limited and temporary, and it's not what real happiness is. It covers what real happiness is. So what's real happiness? Real happiness is to remember that which we have forgotten. Like there's such a big effort. The Bhagavatam is a big book with many, many pages and 18,000 verses. And the purpose is to remind us of what we've forgotten. This effort, that effort, different, this angle, that angle, this approach, that approach, to remind us of what we have forgotten. Prahlada is asking that of Hiranyakasipu, Lord Nrsingadev, please rescue me. I'm in this circumstance, a material body with material senses that are seeking happiness through the senses with sense objects. And I'm not able to satisfy my senses, nor am I satisfied, because the senses are not the self either. In other words, he is presenting the way of pure devotional service, back to what it says in Canto 7, Chapter 10. And Prahlad was sent into this world, he says to Lord Nrsingadev, by you to teach the world the way of pure devotional service. And pure devotional service doesn't just mean piety. Pure devotional service is without the mixture of the modes of nature, without any fruitive intention, just like you're the master and I'm the servant. Please don't tempt me to have me take some benediction from you. Later, Lord Nrsingadev says, I just wanted to show the world, this is your nature. You don't want something. You don't do something to get something. Who is there that does something without having an expectation something's going to come? There's no such thing in this world. Everyone does something to get something. That's fruitive work. But those that do something with no expectation to get something, that's the spiritual realm or spiritual consciousness. So to get there, we need association with those who are there. To get bhakti, we need association with bhaktas, because then bhakta can give bhakti. And we cultivate the bhakti along with everything else that our life is involved in. And slowly, slowly, if we're conscious, careful to cultivate bhakti, then we can get the solution to the fact that we want happiness, but it's not happening. At least the way that we think it should happen. Here's one more verse, text 41. My dear Lord, you are always transcendently situated on the other side of the river of death, but because of the reactions of our own activities, we are suffering on this side. Indeed, we have fallen into this river and are repeatedly suffering the pains of birth and death and eating horrible things. Now kindly look upon us, not only upon me, but also upon all others who are suffering, and by your causeless mercy and compassion, deliver us and maintain us. There's a nice purport. I'll read half of it. Prahalad Maharaj, a pure Vaishnav, prays to the Lord not only for himself, but for all other suffering living entities. There are two classes of Vaishnavas, the Bhajananandis and the Goshti Anandis. The Bhajananandis worship the Lord only for their own personal benefit, but the Goshti Anandis try to elevate all others to Krishna consciousness so that they may be saved. Fools who cannot perceive repeated birth and death and the other miseries of materialistic life cannot be sure of what will happen to them in their next birth. Indeed, these foolish, materially contaminated rascals, strong language, had manufactured an irresponsible way of life that does not consider the next life. They do not know that according to one's own activities, one receives a body selected from 8,400,000 species. These rascals, strong word again, have been described in Bhagavad Gita as duskritino mudha. That's the rascal word. Non-devotees, those who are not Krishna conscious, must engage in sinful activities, and therefore they are mudhas, foolish. They are such fools that they do not know what will happen to them in their next life. Although they see varieties of living creatures eating abominable things, pigs eating stool, crocodiles eating all kinds of flesh, and so on, they do not realize that they themselves, because of their practice of eating all kinds of nonsense in this life, will be destined to eat the most abominable things in their next life. A Vaishnava is afraid of such an abominable life, and to free himself from such horrible conditions, he engages himself in the devotional service of the Lord. The Lord is compassionate to them, and therefore he appears for their benefit. That's half of the purport. Prahlad, when he was within the womb of his mother was taken custody of by Narada Muni. You know the story, right? When Hiranyakasipu was in the forest, standing on his toes with his arms raised in the air for 100 celestial years, with the idea, with his austerity, pleasing Lord Brahma so he could get the benediction from him of immortality. While he was doing that, the demigods came to know Hiranyakasipu was out doing austerities. Now is a chance we can go get our kingdom back, because he had taken over the kingdom of heaven. Hiranyakasipu was a powerful person. So they went back to the kingdom of heaven and they found Kayadu. And Kayadu, his wife, was pregnant. So they took custody of her, thinking we're going to keep watch of her. When the child is born, we're going to kill the child. That's Hiranyakasipu Jr. But Narada Muni came at the right time and said the right things, as he always does. And he said, why are you treating this lady this way? They showed that she's pregnant. And this is Hiranyakashipu's child, and he is a scourge of the whole universe. So we're planning to keep her in custody. When the child is born, kill the child. He said, no, no, no. The child that's within her womb is a very elevated soul. And just on his word, he said, turn her over to me, and I'll take care of the situation. So she, Kayadu went with Narada. She made a request of Narada. Can you have a benediction from you? What's your other one? Please make an arrangement so the child that's within my womb is not born until my husband returns back from the forest where he's doing his meditation and austerities. So he granted that benediction. So Prahlad, for the same duration of time as his mother, heard transcendental knowledge from Narada. So everything he learned was while he was still within the womb, but he remembered everything because he was a very special soul. He remembered everything. And that's the knowledge that he was speaking to his classmates. That's the knowledge that he's speaking here. And what did Narada teach? What does Narada Muni teach? He teaches the way of pure devotion. He's really good at it. He has devotees from all over the spectrum of backgrounds. A hunter, a king, anyway, so many, many, many persons. He's very, very expert at helping people understand bhakti and receive it and live it. He's very expert. And some persons are fortunate to get his association. Prahlad was one such person, and he became a perfected person. And he's trying to share this with others. And that's the explanation here. So just say the verse again. Please deliver me, but not just me. Please deliver all those who are suffering. Is there anybody that's not suffering? As long as you have a material body, there's some suffering. So please deliver us. And that's his aspiration. He wants to be in service to the Supreme so that everyone can become happy. That's a big desire, isn't it? Let everyone become happy. Sarve sukhino bhavantu. It's coming up that this time of the year, just for your information. This time of the year, there's a deadline for submitting Vyasa Puja homages to Srila Prabhupada for his Vyasa Puja book. And I remember very clearly contemplating and composing my message last year. My message last year was this same phrase, because Prabhupada said it so many times. When he would give a lecture, at the end, towards the end of the lecture, Sarve Sukhino Bhavantu. Sarve, all. Sukhino, happiness. Bhavantu, all should become happy. That's what drove him to do what he did for so many years, with so many obstacles, and not good health, and so forth and so on. Sarve Sukhino Bhavantu. People should be happy. Everyone. Not everyone is ready to take it, because to be happy, you have to let go of some things that are sources of misery. It's just how it works. That which is the source of misery, you have to let go to get complete happiness. anyway, that was Prabhupada's mission. It's the mission of Prahlad. It's the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's the mission of Srimad Bhagavatam. It's a nice mission. Everyone should become happy. Is it possible? It's possible. Will they do it? No. But is it possible? Yes. And these two things, effort and mercy. And effort, just, make sure you have the right configuration of effort and a heart that's ready to receive mercy. Okay, so I'm going to stop with that and see if you have any comments or thoughts you'd like to share on what we've read or anything else that you'd like to discuss. Okay.
I have a comment sort of thing. When I first walked in, you were speaking about Prahalad Maharaj and how only Prahalad Maharaj could pacify Lord Nrsimhadev, even though Lakshmi Devi was there, and all the other demigods who are also devotees were there.
Yes.
And
yes, they're also devotees.
Yeah, it's strange for me because I have a lot of envy, and so it's weird to think that none of them felt envious of Prahlad. Only Prahlad could pacify Lord Nrsimhadev. Like how come he how come I didn't get the attention? Kind of, I don't know. Like I just thought it was very it's a totally different way of thinking that I'm accustomed to. So it was really nice to hear.
Well, the two things. Two things. The demigods are not free from material desire. Say it the other way. If they were free from material desire, they'd be in the spiritual world. They're very elevated, and therefore they're in the position of being demigods. They're not just in the heavenly planets, they're controllers of those heavenly planets. Their piety accumulation is vast. But they're not free from material desire because otherwise that would carry them to the spiritual world. So they're very powerful, very pious, exceptional personalities, great devotees, and with material desires. Less than what we have, but some material desire. And then at the same time, they made their effort, and they saw that their effort wasn't doing the trick. And Lord Vishnu is the one they appealed to, and he had reciprocated with their desire, and so they knew who he was, but at the same time, his anger was terrible. And so they wanted to do what they could do for his. So then it was pretty simple. Although he's just a 5-year-old boy, he didn't come for us. He came for Prahlad because of all the terroristic activities that Hiranyakasipu had done in relation to his son. So he came for you. So you should go forward. It's practical. If we can't get the job done, we've tried. Maybe he can get the job done because the Lord came for him. Now, they may have also had an understanding, it doesn't say one way or the other, of his purity. Now, someone that's very elevated soul like the demigods, when they come in contact with a pure personality, like let's say Narada, then it becomes clear he's not ordinary, he is extraordinary. So Prahlad, although he's a young boy, he's extraordinary. because they have that spiritual acumen. They could understand his position. And there was a task to be done that they couldn't do because they had already tried. Yeah, that you. So your comment is, I'm not used to seeing things like that and thinking things like that. They are a little bit more. Oh yeah, no problem. Now, there's people. There's
Can you hear
people.
me?
I can hear you, but there's people
Oh,
online.
okay. Like as you were mentioning that, like effort and mercy, that's what is needed to elevate yourself and to comprehend, But that's only applicable in a human realm, right? If you can accumulate karma and do all those things in human realm, what about like the nature of animals which kill each other? That's a sort of violent. So that's not granted in different realms. If you, I'm talking about in different forms beside human. So how would those animals, like like a lion killing each other? It is nature of lion to proceed with the violence. But how would the other side of what do you call beside human? Is it applicable or it's only applicable in
What's
human?
the applicable effort and mercy? Is it
Yeah,
only? Yeah.
only in human. So that's not applicable in different realms.
Okay. Okay. I got the question.
Yeah, thank you.
Human. Two things. Human form of life is unique, and the opportunity that's there in the human form of life is not. There's exception, but the rule is the same opportunity is not available in the lower life forms. Same opportunity is not there. However, there's the exception. The exception is when there's a very powerful and merciful Lord or representative of the Lord, they can bestow mercy even without an effort from the other side. It's possible, but it's exceptional. And same even in the human form of life. For example, Putana. What effort did she make to please the Supreme Lord? It was the opposite. She wanted to kill him. But the method by which she wanted to kill him was in the role or capacity of mother. So Krishna accepted that as service and lifted her to the spiritual world. So there's exception, but that's the exception. And the rule is effort plus mercy. And within lower life forms, it's possible, but it's the exception.
Accumulating karma. As a human, we have a comprehension and what do you call? We can do it, right? I mean, but not in. I notice it's not applicable in other
That's
forms.
correct,
Yeah.
because
So how would they come out of that
evolution.
zoner? How would they come out? Because their nature, that's how the God made it
The
to
answer
be kill
is
each other.
the answer is by evolutionary process.
Oh, just natural.
The same nature that makes them an animal, by evolutionary process, the karma that brought them to become an animal is diminished, 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 as karma is lightened, because in the animal form they're not accumulating any new karma. There's no laws to be violated for an animal or for lower species. The fish eats the fish and so on. Yes. So the lower life forms, by evolutionary process, they're reducing their karma load up to the point where now they're at the human form of life. Their karma load is now can go plus or minus. They can do pious and go higher, or they can impious and go back down again, or mix and stay somewhere in between. But the lower forms don't accumulate more karma. They don't have the capacity. The laws don't apply to them. He's looking to see if there's something online. Nothing online. Anyone else? Yeah.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. Snuck in.
My question is, in one sense, like I know the answer of the question, but still I feel like there is a huge gap. That's why I'm asking this question. Like, how do we keep ourselves pure? In the sense that our association usually like dictates what we do, and sometimes in order to do something even in devotional life, sometimes we have to like accept something that we know is not the best option for us to take. But like, how do we get the strength to stay pure?
Okay, you're asking three things at once, but that's okay. I mean, the punchline is, how do we get the strength? Where does Bala come from? Bala comes from Balaram. Prabhupada writes, it's in Krishna book, and it's in the section where there's prayers to Lord Krishna in the womb. So it's chapter 2 of Canto 10, or chapter 2 of Krishna book. And Prabhupada gives this explanation. You can't be successful without strength. But strength doesn't mean spiritual strength. Excuse me, doesn't mean physical strength. It means spiritual strength. And spiritual strength comes from Balaram. So we had this nice discussion. Someone else asked the same question. And my reply was, therefore we have two parts of our mantra, Hare Krishna and Hare Rama. So some persons, then we got into this other discussion. Some persons are of the devotional mood that when calling Rama's name, it means Balaram. Some persons are of the devotional mood. When they call Rama's name, it means Ramachandra. And Prabhupada's reply is, both are correct. But that's where we get our spiritual strength. Now, that does to this. The sun is always shining, but today it was very cloudy and rainy. So we're not feeling the heat or the light, certainly not the light of the sun when it's a cloudy sky. But the sun is always shining. So similarly, spiritual strength is always there, but sometimes there's a covering between us and that spiritual strength. So what do you do to remove the covering so you can get the strength and not just the covering or the diminished strength because of the cloud cover? That's anartha vritti. So it's the gradual process of going through the exercise of practicing bhakti, sometimes stronger, sometimes weaker, but practicing bhakti with faith, following the sadhana practices properly with faith, that this is going to get me to the place where the heart becomes free from those coverings or contaminations or cloud-like situations. And then I can access strength. But so it's these same two things. You've missed the beginning part, but it's the effort and the mercy part. The effort is what we do, and the mercy is what Krishna does. And so both are needed to maintain that strength. We go to Balaram, or the source of all strength, and try to serve him and please him. Looks like that's it. Anyone?